History repeats itself not because time is a circle, but because empires rarely learn. Rome, the greatest empire the world had ever seen, expanded until it broke. Today, NATO follows a similar path, stretching its borders, adding more allies, increasing obligations. But are we watching a modern empire repeat ancient mistakes? The Roman Empire began as a small republic in Italy. With time, ambition, and military prowess, it expanded, first across the Italian peninsula, then across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Every new conquest brought glory and wealth, but also resistance and responsibility. Managing diverse cultures, defending long borders, and maintaining loyal legions grew more difficult with every mile added. Like Rome, NATO began with modest intentions, a mutual defense pact to protect Western Europe against Soviet aggression. But when the Soviet Union collapsed, NATO did not dissolve. Instead, it expanded, incorporating former Eastern Bloc countries and moving closer to Russia's borders. This expansion, while framed as voluntary, reignited old fears and rivalries. Rome's borders eventually became its burden. The Rhine and Danube frontiers were constantly under siege. Maintaining security required enormous resources. Barbarians, once allies or mercenaries, turned against the empire. Rome stretched its military thin, responded too slowly to crises, and faced revolts from within. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire fell. But its death was not sudden. It was the result of decades of overreach. NATO's expansion mirrors Rome's. After the Cold War, it welcomed Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic. Then came the Baltics, Romania, Bulgaria, and more. Each new member meant new promises and new flashpoints. The inclusion of Georgia and Ukraine was especially provocative for Russia, which perceived NATO's advance as an existential threat. Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 was not just about Ukraine. It was about NATO. It was about the fear that, like Rome's enemies pushing back at the frontiers, the encirclement had gone too far. Moscow's rhetoric echoed this. The West was meddling where it didn't belong. Just as the Parthians and Sassanids challenged Roman dominance in the East, modern Russia challenges NATO's in Europe. Rome responded to border threats by building walls. Hadrian's Wall in Britain, the Limes Germanicus in Central Europe. NATO responds with military bases, missile systems, and troop deployments. But both strategies create tension. Fortifying borders invites confrontation. Deterrence can easily turn to escalation. Culturally, Rome's expansion diluted its identity. Provinces adopted Roman customs, but also retained their own. Loyalty waned. Emperors came from distant regions, sometimes more loyal to their birthplace than to Rome. NATO faces similar strains. Some member states question their commitments. Others hesitate to act in solidarity. The alliance is large, but is it cohesive? Rome's collapse wasn't only military. Economic troubles contributed. Citizens lost faith in institutions. Military loyalty shifted to generals instead of the Senate. Similarly, the modern West faces polarization, disinformation, and political instability, symptoms of an empire at risk. Of course, NATO is not an empire in the traditional sense. It doesn't conquer land, enslave people, or install governors. But its structure, a dominant core leading a vast network of smaller partners, resembles an imperial model. It projects power, sets global norms, and punishes defiance. History doesn't offer identical repeats, but it offers analogies. Rome believed its civilization was eternal. NATO believes in perpetual security. But belief doesn't guarantee survival. Strategic overreach, internal division, and resistance from rivals brought Rome down. Can NATO escape the same fate? The key lies in understanding limits. Rome failed to recognize its own. It expanded until it couldn't sustain itself. NATO must avoid that trap. Expansion should be strategic, not symbolic. Defense should not provoke offense. Dialogue must accompany deterrence. Today, NATO faces challenges not only from Russia, but from within. Turkey defies consensus. Hungary blocks decisions, The US swings politically every 4 years. What happens when alliance unity breaks down during crisis? Rome tried reforms. Diocletian split the empire. Constantine moved the capital. Temporary fixes delayed collapse but couldn't prevent it. NATO too reforms, new strategies, updated doctrines, cyber defense. But are these measures enough? Empires don't fall in a day. They erode slowly, while their citizens believe everything is fine. Rome's citizens probably believed in Roman greatness even as the gates of the city fell. Are we doing the same? Some say comparison is unfair. NATO is democratic. Rome was autocratic. NATO liberates. Rome subdued. But power is power. Influence reshapes world order, whether under eagles or stars. If we wish to learn from Rome, we must ask hard questions. How far is too far? Are we creating allies or dependencies? Do we secure peace or provoke war? The map of Europe has changed before. Borders rise and fall. Alliances form and dissolve. Rome's expansion seemed unstoppable until it wasn't. NATO, once unchallenged, now faces its moment of reflection. History whispers warnings. Will we listen?